Good afternoon, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. It's Grandpa, and I'm coming to you from the living room in Jacksonville Beach. It's second week in August, so Oktoberfest beer has started coming out. This is Yuengling. I like this Oktoberfest. Yuengling's a Pennsylvania company from Pottsville. It says America's oldest brewery. So today I'm going to do a counterpart to my last video like this, where I did one called Life is Complex, although I think I called it complicated. It's both of those things. Complex things quite often are complicated. And so I talked about three things that could be overwhelming. They were relationships that you had with yourself, with other people, and with the universe. And then we talked about how to simplify it. Well, this is some things that you can do to simplify life, because this one's called Life is Simple. Do these three things for success. So what separates us from the animal kingdom? Now there's people that say that we're animals. Not really. They don't have the kind of societies that we've built. They don't make inventions. They just live their lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your dog being a dog. Your grandmother was walking on the beach the other day, and they have a leash law here. This time of year, in the summertime, you can have your dog on the beach before 9 and after 5, but they have to be leashed. So this dog came running up to your grandmother, and she said to the lady, you know, you're supposed to have that dog on a leash. And the lady said, well, how would you like it if you were put on a leash? Which is a horrible thing for a white person to say to a black person, but this woman didn't think about that, because I'm sure she's some animal rights advocate. Animals do have rights, but they're not humans. The biggest difference, because this sums up the whole thing of inventions and all that kind of stuff, is that we solve problems. Animals just react to situations. And it's good to have situational awareness. Animals always seem to have situational awareness. You know, you go walking through the woods and people say, oh, watch out for bears. You're probably not going to see any bears, because they're going like, oh, I don't want to be around those humans. And they make themselves scarce. So they're situationally aware. When there's danger, they flee or they hide, that kind of thing. Because that's just what they do. It's instinctive. But we solve problems, and they don't. And in order to be problem solvers as human beings, there's three things that we need to do. And I've done 2 videos that talk about these 3 things. And the first is you need to grow up. And a lot of people think they're grown up. Olive, you're 1. Olive, you're 4.5. You're not grown up, and you won't be for a while. But I'm hoping that you'll be watching these videos at a later time, and maybe you will need to grow up. You need to grow up. You need to measure what you're doing now to be successful. And then you need to make a step in the right direction. So let me get into these in a little bit of detail. The video that I did on growing up was called, I Grew Up When I Was 30, When Did You? So what do I mean to grow up? When you realize that you are responsible for you, and in my case especially for others, and that you'll die someday, that you only have a limited time on this earth. And that sounds like absurd, because people go, oh, I know I'm going to die someday. Yeah, I would have said that back before I knew I was going to die someday. And I had the boys, Frank and Tom. I was divorcing my ex-wife, my wife at that time, and I was taking custody of the kids, although they spent a lot of time with the McConnell family. The McConnells were wonderful to us, as a matter of fact, and helped immensely. Spent a lot of time with my family. And then there were babysitters and you know, all kinds of stuff. But I realized, like, this is only going to happen if I make it happen. I can't just throw this on somebody else. Yeah, I'm going to take these two young boys. And Tom at the time, I think, was just getting out of diapers. So they were little guys. And it's my responsibility. And so you have to stop blaming others for you. You might have had the crappiest upbringing in the world. And I'm talking to people that aren't named Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Because your parents, and Frank, I'm talking about Matt, as your dad, your father wasn't really involved in your life that much, so we can't talk about him, but Matt, Jen, Tom, Lucy, Courtney, and Salem are parents who try their best every day, and that's all you can ask for. Do they get everything right? Well, nobody gets everything right. Nobody has it down pat, like, oh yeah, I have perfect children. People might think they have perfect children. They don't. So maybe you blame what's going on in your life on your parents. I used to say that my parents were not strict enough with me. That if they were stricter with me, that I would have been more successful. I would have graduated from high school, which I didn't. Now, I graduated from college and I got a master's degree at the University of Miami. But back when I was like 18 years old, 17 years old, you know, I yelled at them. Like, look what you let happen to me. It was insane. You are responsible for you. You have kids, you're responsible for them. You have a wife, you're responsible for them till death do you part, or a husband, Olive. So that's number one. You have to grow up to be a problem solver. It's very hard if you're blaming your problems on other people, because you're never going to work on you. Number two, and these last two actually are parts of my video course on Udemy called One Small Step, Efficiency for Managers. In life, if you want to improve something, measure it. Now, I'm not talking about improving somebody else's life by measuring them. That'll go horribly wrong for you. Trust me. I'm talking about measuring yourself. You want to lose weight? Measure what you eat. Measure how much you exercise. Start to keep a record, and then you'll start to go like, "Ooh, I'm straying away from what I should be doing. You know, I'm not drinking enough water. I'm eating too much sweets." Yeah, and you're gonna, when you're measuring all these things, you're measuring your weight. So if you start to see your weight going up, you're going to go, well, I need to cut back. So measure. And then the third thing, and this is really important, is to take one small step in the right direction. And what I found in my life, and when I taught this to other people and they tried it out, they found the same thing, is if you're measuring what you're doing now and you take a small step in the right direction, that you're going to, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to have immediate success, or you're going to hit like a barrier against your success. But whatever it is, then you need to continue to measure yourself and take a step. Continue to measure yourself and take a step. Don't worry about what's going to be happening 5 years down the road. Now, you want to do that when it comes to, hey, I want to go to college, or I want to go to trade school. This is what I want to be, and I need to get out of high school first, and it's going to be like 7 years until I reach my goal. That's a different thing. We're talking about problem solving on a day-to-day basis, how to improve your life. Measure it and take a step in the right direction. And continue measuring it unless it's something that you can go on auto cruise control and stop measuring. Like I have a food diary that I kept for maybe a week, and then I just followed it. So I didn't need to like go in and meticulously go, oh yeah, well, I only did 5 glasses of water today, and my goal was 8, so I need to drink more water tomorrow. After a while, you just start doing the right things. So, anyway, this one's a lot shorter than the one the other day, because life's simple if you do these 3 things. If you grow up, measure what you're doing now, and take a step in the right direction, good things will happen, and you'll be successful. Peace out.